Hi, my name's Brian Forbes, and this is my intro video to AEP 800 technology in the classrooms. First thing we're going to talk about is just who am I? My name is Brian Forbes. Already said that once. I'm 32 years old. I got my bachelor's degree from Northeastern State University, where I have a degree in secondary English education. My major is in English. I have 9 years of classroom experience. I've taught grades 8 through 12. Most recently, I'm an eighth grade teacher for the last 4 years. I currently work at Monticello Trails Middle School, which is in the USD 232 DeSoto School District. I previously taught, before this, I taught at Southeast High School in Oklahoma City, where I taught grades 9 through 12. I taught freshmen and sophomores 1 year. I taught 10th and 11th my second year. My third, fourth, and fifth year, I was the senior English teacher. I moved up kind of fast, so I was really lucky in that regard. For those of you that teach high school, know what it's like to teach the difference between freshmen and seniors. So most of my experience before I came here for these 4 years and were with kind of a lower socioeconomic status type student. I also had a high percentage of minority students. African American, Hispanic was the highest percentage, Caucasian was the lowest. So it's actually like reversed now that I teach here in Kansas in the DeSoto district, where the highest percentage of kids by far are Caucasian, and then the middle is African American, and the very lowest would be Hispanic. So it's just kind of a bit different to go from one setting to the next. So it's been kind of an eye-opening experience to look back on my time then and look at, what some teachers consider to be kind of tough now. So some of the extracurriculars that I'm involved in, I'm a coach. Back in Oklahoma City, I was the head varsity baseball coach for 3 years, and I was an assistant football coach all 5 years that I was there. Here at Monticello, I'm the head boys and girls basketball coach. We rotate years, so 1 year I'm an eighth grade coach, next year I'm a seventh, and then we keep looping. I'm also an assistant football coach at my building, so I stay pretty busy with athletics most of the time. But I knew that I wanted to take on different roles than just coaching, so I've actually been a part of being a class sponsor. Some of this is in the past. I was a class sponsor, honor society sponsor, and the senior capstone evaluator back in Oklahoma City. Currently, I'm on the building leadership team. I'm a grade team leader for eighth grade. I'm the co-chair of my department. I'm a member of the PBIS team, which is Positive Behavior Intervention System, which I'm a group member of. And then I've also been a building representative for the DeSoto Teachers Association. I just recently took that one off my plate as I just had my first child. I had a little girl just this last year, so she's turning 1 later this summer. So that's exciting. All right, some of the reflections about technology. I got quite a few on the screen, so I'm going to try and not spend too much time on them. I tried to record this video once earlier, and I went way over the free 15-minute mark, so I'm going to try and speed up a little bit. So sorry if I leave some of you out there with a few questions. So what are some of the things that I think technology does? Why is it important? Well, first, I think excuse me, technology enables students to access materials outside of the classroom. That's really important because you always have students who misplace or lose or need to refer back to something that you did earlier in the day but wasn't necessarily something they wrote in their notes. It also allows students to communicate with the teacher outside of the classroom. It allows collaboration with peers through more familiar mediums rather than having to always try and meet up, kind of the old school way. And it also exposes students to new tools in order to be more creative problem solvers. Technology allows for parents and families to access student work and grades, to access documents and forms and other things like that they may need, which could save them a trip from coming into the building or contacting us, asking us to mail something out or send something home with a student. It also provides resources for guidance and troubleshooting for parents. So if they've got questions about things, there's usually a place on our school website and other things like that, online syllabi that they can get answers to those questions. Technology also enables teachers, which is what we are, to assess student understanding in a more efficient way It also cuts down time on feedback, whether it's consumed from the student or given back to us to discuss that feedback. It allows for the creativity of individual assignments where kids can say, well, I know I'm supposed to do this, here's the goal, but can I do it this way? And technology makes that a lot easier to happen. It also engages students with an entertaining and more useful materials and skills, especially for the 21st century. The adaptability for teachers in order to change assignments, to personalize them or scaffold them, or to especially for tiered students, IEP students, 504 kids, we're able to change things in a more meaningful and, again, an efficient, easier way than the old school worksheet, which is all you could do is black out, this question, or you could say, we'll just do evens or odds, or only go to number 10, but they're not really getting the full effect of what we want them to. So technology has really aided with those things. It also creates more data, which leads into one of the ways that it's also more beneficial for schools. So getting and collecting more data, technology has allowed us to see where some of the holes are in students' education. What are some of the things that we need to catch them up in different areas, or to see exactly what's holding them back? And I think that's probably one of the most useful things for us as teachers and schools. It also allows the schools to communicate regularly with the community in ways that they've never been able to do before. You've got Twitter and Facebook and all these other things, which allows us to get our message out to, sometimes pat ourselves on the back, or our students to, recognize awards and achievements. It provides professional development. Also, not always do you have to meet at certain times, or as a building or a district, or even as certain groups, do you have to get together before school or on an off period to figure things out to get that professional development in. Technology has allowed us to move that outside of the school day to more of a convenient time for teachers and things. And then it also just again goes back to the classroom, where it allows all kids to express themselves, and then also assures that all kids have a variety of ways in order to consume material and to produce material that's going to really reflect more their understanding, as opposed to just pen and paper for every student. Some of the personal uses of technology that I've done over the years: I use it for lesson planning. I give it as tools for students to use. It helps me with classroom management and also assessment of students' understanding of material. So some of the things I do for lesson planning is, obviously, I use like Google Docs and things to, co-create and to collaborate with my team teachers and things like that. Some of our own lesson plans. I put everything I do on Google Classroom, so on a daily basis, the notes or the lesson of what we've done, any assignments, where they're at in the projects, including on the Google Calendar, are all found online. I used to use Blackboard for all those things, but I found that Google Classroom is a more familiar tool for students, and it was a little bit easier to use. So for the last 2 years, I've been using Google Classroom almost exclusively for that purpose. And also Screencast-O-Matic and Powtoon, I use those a lot in order to put certain lessons that I know kids are going to need to refer back to throughout the year, or if I'm going to have a substitute teacher in the room, a lot of times I'll create these videos, or if I don't already have them in advance. And I've found that that's more meaningful for kids, even though I'm not physically in the room, for them to see my face and hear my voice, and they can follow along with me. And especially because I know how to say things the way exactly I want to say it, so the kids get the material in the correct way, in the correct order, without any misunderstandings on the substitute's part. And then Pear Deck, if you haven't used it, look it up. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it right now. Student tools, there are different things. I'm a link teacher. I'm a writing teacher right now. There's a reading and a writing class, and I teach the writing course. But one of the things or tools that my kids use is paperrater.com. It's a free online tool that assesses and grades their writing based on grammar and punctuation, style choices, and things like that. So it's for those of you that do writing or English out there, I would suggest looking it up. I use Quizlet a lot, especially for kids creating their own study guides for vocab and things like that. Kahoot, great game show style thing. We use a lot of that for Bellworks stuff. Google Apps for writing, same for Microsoft 365. Our district's just purchased that the last year, so we're kind of moving to that a little bit. Instead of using just typing up traditional paper for research and things. Sometimes we've created websites. We've been moving to that the last 2 years, where we use Wix and Weebly, and now we have Office 365. Some of the kids use Sway, so they've got a little bit of options there on how to produce their material. And it also is more enjoyable for kids because they can see their material and then they can see how many people have seen it online or looked at it, and they can get feedback from people in comment sections and things like that. And there's a lot more interaction there, so kids are really into that. Classroom management, Skyward is for our academics, the grading side, and then there's this really cool classroom management system online called Classcraft for discipline, and it tracks kids' discipline based on these avatars they receive, where they have health points, and if they do things in class, instead of telling kids, hey, you were talking, please stop or whatever, I have the students always just log on every day, and they're able to look at it, and they get an instant feedback from me. An update will pop up on the screen of their device, whether it's their phone or laptop, and they can see if they've lost health points and why they lost those health points. And then if their character dies in the game, then they get some kind of a result, and that result is randomized. But that's basically like where a teacher would give someone a detention, except the game is doing it, and kids have take a little more ownership. They have more buy-in on their discipline. Yeah, it's a really interesting thing. Look it up. You guys will like it. Assessments. I do my unit tests on Blackboard just because there's a varied style of questions on there, and it gives a lot of information. We do map testing throughout the building, which again gathers great data, per grade level, per subject area, per building, per our district, and we can compare across the state and nation. News ELA and AR, we use those for reading, and then No Reading, because another one that's great for some basic grammar and especially punctuation type things. All right, it's telling me I'm at 12 minutes, so I better hurry up here. So, plan to increase technology. Well, as you can see, I use a lot of technology, and I probably didn't even list all the things that I use. I'm kind of a techie nerd when it comes to that. I love technology. I love utilizing it. I love finding new technology to try and see if it's going to be useful or not. But basically, I just need to keep researching. You can't ever, just like before technology, you should never just rest on what you know. You need to keep looking to see what else is out there, see if something works better. I can attend more professional development opportunities, whether it's offered through the district or on my own, in order to be taught whether about new technologies or how to utilize current technologies in a better way. I'm going to try and petition for more increase of funding. I know everybody would love more funding for technology and many other things, and it's probably never going to happen, but it doesn't hurt to ask. And so I'm going to try and find ways to get money there, and then also to apply for grants, because one of the roadblocks to utilization of technology in the classroom is access to that technology. How many kids have access to a laptop or a phone or an iPad or whatever it is that you're going to be utilizing? And a lot of times in some districts and schools, the answer is zero. There is no access to those things. Some schools are a little luckier than others. I have more computers and laptops where I'm at now than I did in Oklahoma City, but at the same time, it's still not a one-to-one, which would be ideal. So how can we not only use what we have now effectively and efficiently, but how can we get more, which is the challenge. So those are all things I'm going to be looking into. So I'm interested for the rest of this class to get some ideas from everybody else about how to do those types of things, and not only how to get them, but how to use them, and just to learn from everybody in class. I'm really excited. All right, thanks for listening.